All right, Sort of Sports Podcast, episode 126, last one of 2024. Been a very strong year, I think, for both the NFL. I enjoyed the podcast this year. Has been really fun. This is, I think, the most episodes I've ever done in a year, which is always a good thing. And I've enjoyed doing a lot of episodes, and I think we'll kind of do more of a yearly wrap-up of this NFL season once we get to the Super Bowl. I feel like obviously the playoffs really have a lot of impact on that. Once you know the result of the Super Bowl, that'll kind of be the final say in the matter on how strong an NFL season was. But we're on a pretty good track right now. And then as far as movies and TV and stuff, we're going to discuss that a lot in episode 127, which is going to be the Sort of Sporties. And then episode 128 will be the NFL playoff predictions. So very exciting stuff coming up on the Sort of Sports Podcast. But let's get into it. And by it, I'm talking about the big news of 2024. I don't know if it's really the biggest news of 2024. But as far as the NFL season goes, what are they going to do about this whole MVP situation? Because the big thing going on is there's really four candidates. There's Lamar Jackson, there's Saquon Barkley, there's Joe Burrow, and there's Josh Allen. Now, early on in the year, it was really like Lamar was the one who hopped out of the gate, looked really good. Then Josh was coming too, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. We've never had Josh Allen win an MVP. He's been top 3 quarterback in the league ever since 2020. As of late, he's kind of been maybe second best, if not the best sometimes, it feels like. It's kind of weird he doesn't have one yet. And then it's like, wait a minute, Saquon might break Eric Dickerson's record. Maybe he deserves MVP. And now this whole Bengals situation, where this Bengals team we all thought was dead in the water might make the playoffs, and even though they have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins are all just kind of coming together to carry them through. So let's look at the numbers. Joe Burrow does lead the NFL in passing yards with 4,641. Lamar is 6th with 3,955. And Josh Allen is 10th with 3,731. Now, if you're sitting there and you're going, okay, Ryan, who's second in passing yards? That's our boy Jared Goff. Yeah, so the passing yard leader at the moment is Joe Burrow. Behind him, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and Geno Smith. What an incredible top 5. Just absolute absurd top 5 right there. And then you go to the rushing leader. It's obviously Saquon Barkley, number 1, 2,005 yards. Now, I think Eric Dickerson's record is 2,100 something. Let me look it up. Eric Dickerson rushing record. Let's check. Is it 2,105? Where is it? Yes, 2,105. So Saquon needs exactly 100 yards this upcoming week to break the record. I feel like he is going to get it. I do think it's kind of sucks for Eric Dickerson because he did it in one less game. So there's obviously going to be an asterisk. And there should be, because, like, in 16 games, Eric Dickerson played 16 games. Saquon's played 16, and he's 100 yards less. So if that's just the nature of it. Like, it'd be like if Joe Burrow broke the all-time passing yards this season. There would be an asterisk on it because it's like, okay, well, he did in 17 games. It would be different if he broke it in 16 games. Then it's like, okay, he's definitively the man. It's not absurd, is it? Quick thing I do want to say in receiving yards, Brian Thomas Jr. is 5th. That's pretty impressive as a rookie to be 5th in passing yards. Now, granted, he's on a very bad team, but he has over 1,000 yards as a rookie. That's pretty damn good. So, but we'll go back to the MVP thing. Joe Burrow does lead the NFL in touchdowns with 42. He has 8 interceptions and is the second best QBR in the NFL. Josh Allen is the third best QBR, 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And then Lamar Jackson, 4 interceptions. Damn, Lamar. That's pretty good. He has the best quarterback rating in the NFL, 78. and he has 39 touchdowns. If we're just looking at the numbers, it's Joe Burrow without a doubt. I mean, he's the passing yards leader by over 700 yards. Well, not over 700, just by around 700 yards. He's the leader in touchdowns. He's only thrown 8 interceptions. It's him. I mean, it's impressive that Lamar has thrown 4 and Josh has thrown 6. But if you're just looking at pure stats, it is Joey B. But I do want to make an argument here. I do think there's something to be said of when you're behind a lot in these games because your defense isn't very good, you're able to throw higher yards. That's why we saw – do you guys remember the Deshaun Watson year that everybody points to in 2020? They're like – all the Browns fans point to that year when they want to talk about how it was a good move to go get him because he led the NFL in passing yards by like an absurd amount. And my argument always was, okay, but that Houston team was really bad. And he was behind in a lot of those games. So you're able to get more space. They're not playing tight defense. They're sitting back more because who cares if you run for 40 yards on a pass, like on a deep ball. Like it doesn't really matter as long as they're not really getting touchdowns. Let them run as much as they want. They kick a field goal. Who cares? We're already up 21 on them. That was kind of what happened with Deshaun Watson. Now, is this Joe Burrow thing the same thing? No, obviously not. He is winning them games. Him and Jamar and like pretty much the offense is carrying them. Like I guess Mike Gesicki should get credit too. The offense is carrying them into this playoffs. Like that's what's happening here. But I just want to say I do think that is part of the thing with the passing yards is they had a lot of games they were behind by a lot. So thus he's able to get a little higher than a Lamar or a Josh, where they get up by a lot and then they kind of slow down. Whereas he's behind by a lot, so he's trying to throw it deep, As far as MVP goes, if Saquon Barkley breaks the rushing record, there's a very good chance it's him. I'm just saying. If he breaks a rushing record, there's a very decent chance it's going to be him. If the Bengals can get it done, I think there's a very good chance it's Joey B. My pick, if I was going to select, I would go with Josh Allen. And is part of it the fact that he hasn't won one? Yeah, kind of. But there's been games where it just feels like he's the best in the NFL. And Lamar has those games too. But Josh's team has won more games, and they've been more dominant. And I think Josh has just as many wow plays as Lamar has. 13-3 on a Bills team that some people thought it would be tough to win the division. I said at the beginning of the year, if Josh Allen could get this team into the playoffs, he should be MVP. And now we're starting to be like, wow, this Bills team's the best Josh has ever had. Well, part of it's because he's playing so damn good. That's part of it. I think Josh should be the MVP. I hope he wins it, but I'm just acknowledging the fact that if the Bengals get in the playoffs, there's a very good chance it's Burrow. If Saquon breaks the record, it's a very good chance it's him. I don't think Lamar's going to win it. I don't. And I love Lamar Jackson. I just don't think he's going to win it. I think there's a little bit of voter fatigue with him. I do. That's my thoughts. My pick and who I think will win is Josh Allen, but I will admit it's going to be tough. Brock Purdy last night did not play very well against the Lions. 2 interceptions, both Kirby Joseph. It kind of sealed the game for the Lions. They were fighting back. Offense was rolling. I loved there was a period that Jared Goff was getting MVP talk. That was an incredible period. I really enjoyed that. And obviously that's gone now, but that would have been really fun. I would have loved it. But I think the Lions had to have gone like undefeated or like 16-1 for that to have happened. But it would have been really cool. Brock is going up for a contract extension. It is going to be interesting what the Niners do. To be honest, I think they are going to extend him. I don't think they're going to bring somebody new in. I would be shocked if Shanahan's like, yeah, at pick, what are they probably at, like 13 or 14, right? I think we can snag Carson Beck, and I think he's the franchise guy. Like, I just don't see them doing that. People are like, oh, well, this shows you how good Brock Purdy is. And I'm like, yeah, okay. if the Niners team isn't very good, Brock isn't going to play that well. Yet we knew that. Like, I don't think anyone thought Brock Purdy was Lamar Jackson, where he was out there elevating talent. I don't think anybody thought that. I never thought that. I thought he was good in what he was doing. He was a good system guy. It'd be like if the Lions lost Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams played half the year. Yeah, clearly Jared Goff's not going to do as well. Like, McCaffrey's been out all year. Debo's taken an insane step back. Like, he's not, Ayuk got paid and just kind of doesn't care anymore. Is Ayuk hurt? I don't even know what's going on with the Niners. But I'm saying, yeah, of course he's not. Like, he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Joe Burrow. Like, he's not that guy. And I understand every team wants to have that guy that can elevate talent, but those guys are hard to find. I'm starting to think Bryce Young might be one of those guys, and that's pretty awesome because those guys are very hard to find, and that's what every team's looking for. But at some point, if you have a solid system guy, it's okay to be happy with that because it's really hard to get one of those elevating talent guys. Penix versus Daniels, Sunday Night Football. That was fun. Went to OT. Commies got it done. But props to Penix, threw a big ball, like a clutch ball through the middle of the defense to Kyle Pitts. The game-tying touchdown. It was a fun game. It was a really fun game for Sunday Night Football. Quietly good. Week 17 Sunday Night Football. After a day that wasn't that interesting, Sunday Night Football delivered. And I forgot last week when we were talking that Monday Night Football doesn't exist in the last week and that Sunday Night Football's the last game. I forgot that's how that worked. So that is very good news because Sunday Night Football this week is going to be that Lions-Vikings game, which is going to be awesome. Winner takes the division. Loser becomes the 5 seed. I must say, I've barely talked about this Vikings team all year. Next year, I'm probably going to watch them a ton because J.J. McCarthy is most likely going to be the starter. I'm starting to think they are going to let Darnold walk, and they're going to let him go to the Titans or maybe return home to the Jets or whatever team wants Darnold. Because if I'm Kevin O'Connell, I'm thinking I'm probably getting Coach of the Year. I think Kevin O'Connell should be Coach of the Year for what it's worth. I'm probably getting Coach of the Year. I clearly have a really strong system. I have Justin Jefferson, who is so clearly the best wide receiver in the NFL. I know Jamar Chase is really good, but Justin Jefferson made that. You know the play I'm talking about where the Packers guy's all over him and he hauls it in with one hand, just brings it to his chest. Like, I think I could throw touchdowns to Justin Jefferson. He is that good. Like, I think I could just lob it up there and he'd snag it and make it work. Like, he is insanely good. And so I think J.J. McCarthy is going to have immense success there next season. And to me, I think Darnold's obviously played well. I think he's made them very interesting. I barely watched them all year, but watching them last week against the Packers, I was impressed. And I'm a little afraid for this game against the Lions. As somebody who really likes to see the Lions win, it's going to be fun. I will say I've kind of downplayed the Vikings and Eagles' success the entire season. And honestly, the one I'm more impressed with as of late is the Vikings, not the Eagles, sorry. It's the Vikings, being honest. I think next year they'll be good with JJ. I really don't see a reason for them to re-sign Darnold because he's a free agent this offseason. And it's props to him for playing well. But, I mean, maybe if you can figure out a thing where it's like, hey, we're going to re-sign you, but it's going to be a quarterback battle in the summer. But it might be awkward because obviously he was a starter that led you to the playoffs. It honestly would be a lot easier for them if they lost they lost the wild card. Like, they're the 5 seed. They play the Bucks, and the Bucks beat them. Because then it's like, okay, JJ starting next year. Goodbye, Darnold. It was a great season, but we couldn't even win a playoff game. You know what I mean? It gets weird if it's like they go on a bit of a run and they're in the NFC Championship, and it's like, you know what I mean? It would just get odd. So, honestly, that would be easier for the Vikings. We'll see how they play against the Lions before I start thinking ahead. This Lions game, depending on how well the Vikings play the Lions, is going to depend on if I take them to win a playoff game or not. But speaking of teams I'm not going to take to win a playoff game, Pittsburgh Steelers, you lost against the Chiefs. I officially will not take you to win a playoff game. That was the rule. I made a rule. I don't care who you play. I don't care who you play. It was a bad showing, and I really have liked this Steelers team all year. Thought this was a really good team. Thought this was a team that could maybe sneak into the AFC Championship, maybe even sneak a win into the Super Bowl on a weird, like off a couple teams have to get injured, but it could be an interesting run. And I'm off the train. I really am. Tomlin's still a hell of a coach. Still very impressive they've been able to do this year. I'm sure they'll be really good next year. He just gets it done. But I don't see them. if they're playing the Ravens, I'm not taking them. Now, realistically, they're probably not going to play the Ravens. I don't think that's the way that shapes out. Think they're what? They're not the lowest seed. The Ravens play Texans, I think, because I think the Ravens are the 5 seed. So what? They play like the Chargers. I think I'll probably take the Chargers. I'm being serious. I was not impressed off that game on Christmas Day. Another team that looked really bad on Christmas Day was the Houston Texans. Oh, my. Oh, my. It's just sad right now. I think CJ's had a sophomore slump. I've said, my grandpa asked me, he's a big Ohio State fan, was like, what's going on with CJ? And I was like, okay, well, I think honestly last year he played so well that he became a guy people circled on the schedule coming into this year. Don't think he was prepared for that. He hasn't responded the way I wanted to see him respond. This Texans team has become one of the most talked about NFL teams to one of the least. No one talks about the Texans. No one even calls them frauds. No one says they're soft. No one says they won a weak division. No one says that, but no one says they're good. No one says they're going to win the Super Bowl. They just kind of exist. It's really been a sad team. No one really talks about it. The most thing talked about is how upset C.J. Stroud was and Tank Dell got hurt, which was obviously super sad. So just it was one of the best good vibes teams, and now it's just like a sad nobody really talks about them vibes team, and that kind of sucks. It's been a rough run for the Texans. I hope C.J. Stroud, the Texans, can go into this offseason, rework things, and get back to where I thought they were going to be, which is like potential Super Bowl champions is what I thought they were going to be looking at. I thought they were going to win like Super Bowl 59. Is this 59? Oh my gosh, yeah, it is. I mean, I don't think they can win Super Bowl 60 at this rate. I just don't. I mean, Bryce Young's outplayed him this year, and I love that for Bryce. I really do. Like, Bryce has outplayed him in some games this year. Not the whole year. I needed to restate that. In some games, Bryce has outplayed. Like, if you went week by week and compared, Bryce has outplayed him some weeks. And that is not something I would have predicted ever. And I'm proud of Bryce, but I'm also like, come on, CJ. It's been rough. Thursday Night Football was really rough. Oh, my gosh. Seahawks, Bears, 6-3. That was... Oh my. People were like, oh, the Bears should go get Ben Johnson. I don't understand if you're a really good OC or DC, like the Lions have. When you're Ben Johnson, for example, why would you leave? Like, I understand everybody wants to be the main man. Everybody wants to be the head coach. I get that. But at some point, it's like, I get to be the OC for a perennial contender. I get to work with Dan Campbell. I get to be an elite team. Why would I ever leave for a sloppy organization like the Bears, where if I don't do well within 2 years, they're going to cut me out? Like, I just don't understand. I honestly don't think Ben Johnson will leave. I think he's one of the few OCs who understands what I'm talking about and is like, no, I'm just happy doing this. This is fun. Let's do this for a long time. I think that's what he's thinking. Now watch this. He'll go take a head coaching job with the Bears this year, and it'll blow my mind. And he'll be interdivision with the Lions, But I don't know. I just think he might understand it, and I don't really understand why all these guys want to move up. Like, sometimes you're in a good spot, Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, Is this Kevin O'Connell's third year as a coach? Yeah, it is. I was trying to remember. I was like, how long has he coached? So I know it was a bit of a jump. I was just thinking about it. I was trying to remember where he was from. He was the OC with the Rams when they won the Super Bowl. And then he was named head coach of the Vikings the following year. He has a degree in political science from SDSU. Oh, he played in the NFL. Is he quarterback? Yep, he was quarterback. Oh, he played quarterback for the Lions for a little bit. I don't think he ever started, but interesting. All right, Kevin O'Connell. Okay. Can this Rams team win a playoff game? They've been on a bit of a run. I said a little while back, I was pretty interested in this Rams team. I thought there was something there. and they've been on a bit of a streak. Now, they're most likely going to get line. You know what? Let's just check. I'm trying to think if they're going to play the Commies. Let's check this. Let's just see where it's all standing, right? Okay. Right now, it looks like so the Rams are going to be the 3rd seed. I think, as long as they don't lose this week. Who they play? Seahawks. Oh, that. I'm gonna believe they win, and that'd make them the 3rd seed. Interesting. They're on a 5-game win streak right now. They're peaking at the right time. If they play the Commies, that's a really interesting matchup. I wanted to get the Commies to play the Eagles. I really wanted that, but that's just not going to line up, right? No, wait, it will. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so mistaken. I forgot the way the wild card. The Commies are the last wild card spot. The only spot left is the NFC South spot, which the Buccaneers can lock up if they win this week, which I hope they do. Love to see Baker get in the playoffs. Okay, that is how. Okay, rephrase. So the way the NFC playoffs is shaping up, it's going to be a 1-seed Lions or Vikings, 2-seed Eagles, 3-seed Rams, 4-seed Bucks or Falcons. Hopefully the Bucks. Then we go 5, 6, 7. Lions or Vikings, Packers, Commies. So the Commies are the 7 seed. They're most likely going to play the Eagles, who are the 2 seed, which is awesome. 3rd time they've played this year. Then the Packers will play the Rams, which is really fun. LaFleur versus McVay. That'll be really fun. And then Lions or Vikings will play the Bucks. I honestly think this Bucks team can win a playoff game. I know that's a crazy statement. Okay, I want to say if the Rams play the Packers, they will not win. They won't. I don't think this Rams team's that good. Now the Commies are my wild card in the NFC that I like a lot. I think they can win a game. I don't think they get any farther than that. I think the defense isn't good enough. But they just get out of close games. I mean, Jane Daniels has done it all year. He's locked up Rookie of the Year. I wish they would edit those uniforms. Add some white to it. Because there's not a lot of contrast on them. But other than that, this Commies team's got it going on. It would be really funny if they beat the Eagles. Let's do marquee matchups for this week. I have to be honest with you guys. I was writing the script for this episode, and there's no marquee matchups. All the best games are primetime games. Here we go. I'm going to read it to you. So we only play Saturday and Sunday this week. Saturday at 4:30, we have Browns-Ravens. It's not a marquee matchup because obviously this does have playoff implications as far as the Ravens, but I feel like they're going to beat the Browns. Like, I just have no doubts in my mind. And then that's not that interesting to me. And then later that evening, Saturday Night Football, we have Steelers-Bengals. It's a primetime game, so it's not eligible for marquee matchups. Let's go to Sunday. Here are your 1 o'clock games. Panthers-Falcons. I will be watching this. You have no reason to watch this. This means nothing for either team. If you've become interested in Bryce Young, please watch this. I love watching him. But for what it's worth, for the general public, this is not an interesting Panthers game to watch. It does have playoff implication for the Falcons, obviously. They have to win it to stay eligible, but they're not in control of their own destiny. The Bucs are, so it's just not that interesting. And the Bucs are playing the Saints at 1 o'clock. They're going to beat the Saints. They are. Hopefully the Panthers can beat the Falcons just as a fun screw you from Bryce Young, Carolina Reaper himself. I love you, Bryce Young. Let's get it done. Texans-Titans, not interesting. No one wants. Titans are never a marquee matchup. They're a marquee matchup killer. Giants-Eagles at 1 o'clock. This would be hilarious. Got to keep an eye on this game's score. Don't watch it from the get-go. But if it's close at halftime, tune in, see if Drew Lock is once again balling out for the Giants. That will be really funny. Jaguars, Colts, 1 o'clock. This maybe could be something, but it's two shit teams fighting. I just don't care. This Colts team's been a massive disappointment. I think Anthony Richardson's out again. It's just, and Joe Flacco I love, but he's not been playing, he's not been playing as well as he did last year. Commies, Cowboys. This one has a little bit of juice for me. It really does, but the Commies have already locked up their wild card spot. They might be resting some guys. I don't think it matters, really. Bears, Packers at 1 o'clock. This is not interesting at all. This will be an absolute trouncing. Bills, Patriots. Trouncing. Bills might rest some of their guys. 4:25. Chargers, Raiders. Not interesting. Niners, Cardinals. 4:25. Not interesting. Chiefs, Broncos. This one is intriguing. This would be the only one I would even slightly say is a marquee matchup, because if the Bengals win Saturday night, they need the Chiefs to beat the Broncos. Chiefs are going to be resting their guys, though, so it's just not going to be as interesting. You really want to watch Carson Wentz ball out? It was his birthday yesterday. Woohoo! Let's go Carson Wentz, right? Prince Harry himself, as Q would say. Seahawks, Rams, 4:25. Rams might be resting their guys. Not that interesting. Jets, Dolphins. Hell no. I hate watching the Jets. They're awful. 8:20, Sunday Night Football, game of the week. An excellent game to end the season on. Do you guys remember we had that Chargers-Raiders win, you're into the playoffs, lose, you're out of the playoffs game a couple of years ago? I think it was 2020. Yeah, it was the 2020 season. That was super fun. The Raiders won and then played the Chiefs in the first round. That was a fun game. This is the same thing, except it's better because both teams are actually good and interesting. So both these teams are making the playoffs, but this time it's for a division. This is why the NFL schedules the divisional games late in the year for absolute hood classics like this. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes it ends up in games like Niners-Cardinals, where who cares? But other times it ends up in games like this, which are going to be absolutely awesome. Two of the best teams in the NFL, 14-2. Two guys who are probably going to be the top vote getters for head coach of the year. I think the Lions are going to win this. Let's get into the rest of the primetime picks. I just said Sunday Night Football. I am taking Lions over Vikings. That's right. I think the Lions are getting it done. And then Saturday Night Football, I'm going to take the Bengals over the Steelers. I'm going to keep the dream alive for the Bengals. It would be really funny, though, if the Steelers got it done. That's it for me. Next episode will be the Sort of Sporties. I might watch one movie today to kind of put a little cherry on top of all the movies I've watched in 2024. Going to be significantly less Hall of Famers than last year. I got to get everything prepared. I got to get my music awards prepared, television, movies. We might even do a book award this year. That's right. I'm a scholar. I'll see you all in the next one. I cannot wait. It's going to be over 2 hours. Sort of Sporty is my favorite episode to record every year. I take that one very seriously, and I hope you join me for the Sort of Sporties. And I hope you enjoy this final week of the NFL season, because there's going to be a period this summer where you're going to be like, wow, I really miss watching NFL football. So make sure you enjoy it while it lasts. See you all in the next one. The Sort of Sporties for 2024. That'll be episode 127 here on the Sort of Sports Podcast.